to a well-known, humble personality present here with us today. He has had over 24 years of distinguished service in the Philippine government and played pivotal roles in shaping policy and strategy. He has also had served as the Undersecretary at the Dangerous Drug Board, where he had profound impact. It is my honor to introduce you the 8th Secretary General of the Colombo Plan, none other than His Excellency Dr. Benjamin P. Reyes.
Thank you very much. Honorable Colombo Plan, country members, of course, we have some founding members with us tonight, our Council President, Excellencies, representatives from the diplomatic missions and international organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Allow me to first greet our Colombo Plan member countries, friends and supporters a happy 73rd anniversary. We also acknowledge the assistance of the government of Sri Lanka for continually hosting the organization throughout the years, and we have several of our friends here. Now, of course, as mentioned, not many intergovernmental organizations can claim such a milestone of 73 years of partnership. Now, please accept our heartfelt appreciation to all of you for joining us for this somewhat different anniversary celebration. If you notice, we kept the group small. We invited mostly the member countries and the founding members. As you may have noticed, we changed the program of our anniversary from the usual diplomatic activities we are used to attending. And this is to highlight a particular concern that have recently caught our attention, which should concern all of us, our council members, friends, and supporters. If you will recall, last year, during our 72nd anniversary, we highlighted the 50th anniversary of our Drug Advisory Program. And for this year, as we enjoy our 73rd year of cooperation and mutual support, we want everyone to be aware of a particular concern that should not even be existing during this day and age. So tonight's anniversary will highlight the activity that has been going on this week. We started the activity last July 1 at the Grand Bell Hotel. And we have been working on this project for over a year now with our good friend, His Excellency Ambassador Bashu of MISRA of the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal. And this is Ambassador Bashu's effort as much as Colombo Plans. Where's Ambassador Bashu? Yeah. So I'm referring to the training of trainers of the dignified administration advocacy with the participation of more or less 24 participants from 13 countries. And may I request the participants to raise your hands to be recognized? All right. Thank you. We are undertaking this initiative under the purview of our Gender Affairs Program in cooperation with the Global South Coalition for Dignified Administration with their founder, who is with us tonight. And of course, she will be introduced later. But let me tell you, when I first learned about this initiative, I was truly appalled to learn of such disrespect and violation of women's rights that are still happening in so many cultures in various parts of the world, causing morbidities and even deaths. I'm talking about the myths and stigma being perpetuated surrounding a purely normal physiologic cycle women experience every month, no? the female menstrual cycle, the monthly periods. And the concerns I want to highlight is not limited to period poverty, which is defined by our friends from the United Nations as the lack of access to period products and the limited available privacy options. In other words, the lack of access to sanitary products or clean private restrooms, safe places where a person can have privacy in. So it goes beyond that. No? I'm referring to the inherent beliefs and stigma in some cultures that women during their periods are unclean and unfit to mingle in society for a few days every month. Now, while this might seem amusing to us in civilized societies, myths, misconceptions, and misinformation about periods feed into stigma which can be hugely damaging for many girls, women, and people who menstruate around the world. In part, this stigma exacerbates certain cultural beliefs about menstruation. Rather than simply being acknowledged as a natural bodily function, it is considered rude or even embarrassing in some communities around the world. While referring to monthly periods using euphemisms such as Strawberry Week in Austria, I'm with Chico in Brazil, Granny Stuck in Traffic in South Africa, it may seem harmless, no? But they reinforce the idea that periods are shameful and something to talk about in codes. So this often leads to women and girls feeling confined to their homes, being excluded from public spaces, or considered to be bad luck or harmful to others for about a week every month. Now, due to the conversation around menstruation being suppressed, these myths continuing this period of stigma has a huge impact on the lives of these girls. Among many other concerns, a good example is how a girl's education is affected. For instance, across Africa, it is estimated that 1 in 10 girls miss school when they have their periods. And they can miss approximately 10 to 20% of school days. So factors which can lead them to dropping out altogether, and this puts them in a greater risk of child marriage, getting pregnant at a younger age, and it comes with heightened health risk. Not receiving full education, of course, as we all know, and being forced into an early marriage also inevitably usually lead to reduced capacity to access employment and income generation. Terrible consequence which only serves to hold back women's life's chances. Now against this, again, this is just a simple example of what we want to address. I'm not an expert, but that is why we invited the experts with us right now. But at this point, we all have mothers, we all have sisters, the females in our lives, and we should be grateful that this stigma does not cause problems in our respective realities. But having such concerns existing, how can we not act? We can endeavor to do what we can in our own capacities to make sure no one becomes a victim of this problem. And again, this is why Colombo Plan exists. We accumulated extensive experience and technical expertise, adapting our role and functions to address the changing social and developmental priorities to serve as an effective platform for dissemination of knowledge and improved interventions aligned with international, regional, and local policies and programs. We have committed members with us here, donors, competent professional partners to make sure that Colombo Plan is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 5, of empowering women and eliminating the root causes of discrimination that curtail women's rights. Now, if Colombo Plan can do something to address such issues, then we can be proud that our organization is still doing its best to make the world a better place to live in even after 73 years. And we commit to do this even if it takes 100 years. Again, happy 73rd anniversary to all of us. Enjoy tonight's program. Thank you and good evening.